Thanks everyone for coming to episode 3 of GICTV, Golf's Great Reset, Risk Management in the COVID-19 World. It's some very topical, I guess, current topical things that we're all going through as we've sort of started with the big close down and in Melbourne and New Zealand, having the courses closed for a long period of time. Other places having, each state having different rules in place, and now as we've sort of got the other side of the curve, it's not that it's over. It's just, as Terry said to me yesterday, said it's just beginning. We're just starting to get where we need to, the new normal, whatever that looks like. We need to start managing this process moving forward, and each state once again is in a slightly different position depending on how the government is rolling it out. Here in Queensland, we had some of our restrictions move forward a couple of weeks. It probably took some of our managers off guard and not quite ready to get everything open, but they're working on it hard this week. The episode is being recorded for future use, so just be aware that we'll use it for other content. If you need to use the anonymous button or anything else, that's fine too. If there's any types of questions you might want to put forward. It's a more relaxed style of webinar, so we want to get some discussion going. Even though you're all on mute now, we will have some opportunities to do some live chat, or at the end of our session today, the panelists are happy to stay on for a little while and just have some open discussion of what may be happening in your particular area. Sharing of knowledge is how we get stronger as an industry. It's something I've always believed in, and we're all in this together. I know that the New Zealand industry has been promoting and trying to help each other out, and I think we'll come out as a stronger entity, as we get through all of this. It's a great opportunity, though. Jeff was just pronouncing some of the messaging, and what I'm seeing is just, we have an opportunity to sell, golf as maybe not the safest, but possibly the safest type of sport and venue. We have social distancing sort of built into it, just as a game, and be down the left side of the fairway, right side of the fairway. It's built on that premise anyways. Even though it is a very social game, we have the distancing effect in there. And in the end, I guess it's members and staff do need to feel safe coming to your venue. And that's the big message we need to get along. Do they feel safe when they come in? Do your staff feel like they want to come to work? Terry and Daniel will chat about that in a sec. Before I hand it over, what today's format, we'll do just a couple of minute intro with Terry and Daniel, just a little bit of background for where they're coming from, and I guess their current perspective of where they see the industry at the moment. I've got a little poll, just a sample poll to get from you. The question will be, how many of you currently have a COVID-19 venue management plan ready to go? Just to get an idea for the panelists. I'll launch that right now, and I'll hand over to Terry just to do a quick intro and an update of what he's saying. Over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Mike, for the kind introduction. Welcome, everyone. It's great to be speaking with you today, and I appreciate you taking the time out to sit in on the webinar, and thanks to you, Mike, for organising it. Just as a quick overview, I've spent the last 20 years working in the golf space, focusing on risk management from an environment risk perspective, and also from an environment health and safety risk perspective. And I think, like everybody, we were blindsided by this pandemic, and we've had to identify some new strategies to deal with COVID-19 risk. And so today I'm going to share with you our experiences, what we're seeing, what we're doing, how we've been able to quickly adapt. But I will say from the get-go, we've been a bit fortunate because one of our company directors is a doctor with public health expertise and has responded and worked in some outbreaks before. So we're relying heavily on the input that she provides us, and we're sharing that with as many people as we can. And you'll probably see behind me is what we call our coronavirus resource corner, where we identify things that we think our customers need. We print them off or we send them electronically and we post them in our own workplace. And this is something that regulators will want to see. And this is part of the new risk approach. So one of the things that I'll be talking to during the presentation is how risk management in the COVID world presents unlimited opportunity to do a couple of things: to communicate better with your patrons, with your teams and your members, and also how to trigger those tough conversations. So for about 15 minutes or so, it's my job to make sure that I enlighten you with some COVID-19 risk strategies that we've adopted, and you may find some of that or all of that might help you in your endeavours. So it's over to you, Mike. I'm in your hands.
Yeah, no worries. We'll do a quick intro to Daniel Bateup from Golf Business Australia, just from slightly different perspective, but still has a lot in regards to risk management, and they go hand in hand with what you're doing, Terry. So over to you, Daniel. It's good to have you on.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me, and guys, thanks for joining us. We're pleasure to be here today to talk about our respective professions and how the golf industry might take away some learnings from today's information. Golf Business Australia is Australia's premium provider of insurance and finance solutions. So we're in the game of usually reacting to events that cover golf clubs with respect to your insurance. But we want to talk a little bit about today the preventative measures amid COVID-19, working closely with companies like Terry's to reduce the risk at your club of having to make an insurance claim, and therefore improving your risk profile to take to insurers and ensure a sustainable insurance solution long into the future. We've definitely seen the impact of COVID-19 on the insurance industry. There has been some negative but positive feedback on the insurance industry, which is not uncommon. But we feel that right now it's an opportunity. Golf has fared fairly well through COVID, but there's no doubt that it is an industry that needs to be put under the microscope with respect to how we move forward. Mostly the demographic at golf clubs is an aging demographic, and we've got to ensure the safety and well-being of our customers and guests and members. So, yeah, I hope you can take away some learnings from Golf Business Australia today, or me on behalf of, and certainly Terry. I'm looking forward to what he's got to bring to the table. So, thanks again, Mike. And
yeah, no worries. You hit a couple good points there too, because this is really, I mean, where I say insurance isn't sexy, and it either is risk management at times, sorry, Terry, it's a very important and integral part of our of management and governance for any business, be it members or a private entity. So it's a critical part, and it's been heightened probably because of what we've been challenged. It's brought it to the forefront. You have to be able to go through and just make sure that we are making a safe and welcoming and good environment for people moving forward. They need to feel that as well. Just before we get onto your slides, Terry, we've got just a quick snippet of the poll. So yeah, we had it. How many of you currently have a COVID-19 venue management plan ready to go? One haven't started. 50% completed. There's 3 almost there, and then we've got a good percentage of 60% of the ones that have voted said ready to go. So at least it is good to hear that we're on the front foot, because we've had that free time to work on this stuff as our venues have been closed or in reduced hours. JobKeeper has been a big savior, I guess, to keep some staff on and get caught up on a lot of the projects that you may not have been able to get to, and the management plan being a big one of them. Terry, I'll flick on your slides, and you can go through your area of information, what we were talking about. 1 second here. There you go, Terry. Just give me a change slide, and I'll move on for you. So over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Mike. This is just the title page. I'm calling the opportunities that COVID has presented to the golf industry as golf's great reset. And I'm going to be talking to that throughout the next 13, 14 slides as we go on today, but with a focus on risk management and how that will help the industry better facilitate what I'm calling this great reset. When you're ready, Mike.
Yep.
So just to give you some background, I said earlier on that we were blindsided, and so was everybody by this pandemic. in 2019, we started planning 2020 rollout of our risk strategies for all our customers, and we calendarised 12 risk issues that we identified as the top 12 back then. And you'll see on the screen, January, February and March were locked in. And then, as we know, in late Feb, early March, well, this pandemic hit, and I can guarantee pandemic risk was not in our calendar. But from March onwards, it's been front of mind for us. And for the last quarter, it's been almost everything that we've focused on. When you're ready, mate. So the takeaways, I do my presentations a little bit in reverse. I like to give my takeaways early so you can be comfortable that I've answered some of the queries or satisfied some of the queries that you would like. Can you go back, Mike, to that slide? Yeah. I think we can all agree that, oh, you went forward.
I'm sorry about that. I'm getting a little bit of a tech issue up here. So let me get back.
That's it.
That's the one. Sorry about that.
That's
Go
all right.
ahead.
None of us had time to prepare for this pandemic on its way in. I think we can all agree on that, but I think we can all well prepare for the best way out. And I think risk management has a big role to play. And I think some of the end results or some of the outcomes will be what you see at the bottom of the screen. For 20 years, I've been championing golf as what I believe is the world's most environmentally sustainable sport. When I did my master's degree, I did a paper on golf and the environment. We identified 394 environmental values at threat on a typical 18-hole golf course. And you don't hear too much in the press or the media about any significant environmental incidents in or around a golf course because they're doing that well. They're managing their risk well. And I'd argue with anybody that it is up there as the world's most sustainable sport. But if we get our risk approaches right to COVID, is there an opportunity for this great game to be recognised as not just the world's most environmentally sustainable sport, but also as the world's safest sport? Based on the risks that I'm seeing and doing, I agree absolutely. But it's not the first issue that we've all had to deal with. And in the last 20 years, I've listed a range of issues that the industry and the world has had to respond to. And our role throughout and each and every event has to come up with some strategies to best equip and best empower golf club general managers and superintendents as risk managers to deal with it, to manage their way through it and come out better at the end of it. So just in summary, there's no doubt at COVID risk management, you really have to acknowledge these 4 points if you're going to do it right. It's everybody's business. It's an individual issue to keep people safe and keep their families safe, and it's a community issue. It's a worldwide global issue, so it is everybody's business. It's in everybody's interest that you get it right in your workplace, in your business. The beauty of it is if you get it right and you do it robustly and you do it with credibility, it allows you the ability to communicate value to your workforce, that it's a safe place, value to your members and your patrons, that it's a safe place, that it's clean, that it's hygienic, and in the words of Greg Patterson, that it's a haven for them to come to and they want to keep coming to it. I said earlier that a good risk assessment will allow you to trigger those tough conversations with your staff or your members. We don't do things that way anymore. We have to change. This is why, and this is how long we may have to be doing this for. And there's no doubt what we're seeing, and as we start executing our risk assessments, COVID risk has changed the hierarchy of controls, and you'll see that in the next slide. Top left of screen, that's the traditional hierarchy of controls for risk as we've traditionally known it. Elimination always top of scale, but what we've done, bottom right, we've adapted it for COVID, and you'll see the number one control is now social distancing, and that incorporates hygiene, sanitising, etiquette for respiratory etiquette and that sort of thing, right through to engineering controls, whether they be physical barriers, which we're seeing, down to administrative controls like procedures, working from home policies and protocols, and through to PPE. So it's actually changed the whole way that risk managers now assess risk based on COVID, and social distancing, respiratory etiquette and hygiene will always be top three as we do whatever we can to try and eliminate that risk in our workplace. Just to give you an idea, this is a risk register that we sat down to develop just last week as an exercise internally for our staff. Now, the risk was at top of screen, you'll see it. What is the risk of a customer bringing COVID-19 into the workplace? We identified that as a risk, and that's a risk for everybody. And then we started listing controls. That's one page that you see there. And I'm happy to share this page. I think, Mike, you'll be sharing this presentation anyway.
Yeah, sure will.
Sure. Now, we stopped at 19. So we got to 19 risks, risk controls just for people bringing it into your business or into your workplace. We then went to the next level and we did a risk register for the whole operation. And based on your operation and scale, we're finding that you'll have a risk register that should have risk controls and inherent and residual risk ratings for between 75 and 95 controls, which is an extensive list. And that's what you're going to be needing. That's what regulators are going to be wanting to see. And this is what you will need if you want to espouse yourself as a robust and credible COVID-19 risk managed facility. Next one.
Terry, we were talking yesterday about that point. I mean, that they all run independently too, right? If you do miss one of them, you know, that they don't, there's not that domino effect. But if you focus on one area, it'll take care of 20 of those risk items. You have to sort of undertake each one of them.
Absolutely. It has to be so strategic now, because it's just changed the way we approach risk. It's really now a big focus on behavioural change. So if you miss something, someone's behaviour could cause some harm, and all of a sudden you've got a cluster because somebody didn't see something, didn't identify, and didn't implement a risk control.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I'm getting, always got the tech issues. When you,
yeah.
There we go.
That's okay.
Yeah, the internet.
Yeah. So the overriding principle for COVID-19 based risk assessment is to steal from the environment world. Under the concepts of environmentally sustainable development, when I did my environmental science degree in the mid-90s, yes, I'm that old, the ESD precautionary principle was paramount, and it basically said, even if there's uncertainty whether there will be harm, it shouldn't prevent us from taking preventative measures. Summarised, it's better safe than sorry. Now, to put that into perspective, you'll see in that diagram there, how often have you thought when you've met somebody, well, okay, I can shake their hand, or should I not shake their hand? Are you certain that you're going to pick up an infection by shaking their hand? Well, there's no certainty, so we're all uncertain about it, but it shouldn't prevent you from taking preventative measures. That's the precautionary principle. Another example is maybe in your workplace, your course maintenance team have adopted split shifts. Great idea. It keeps two teams separated, but now there's a rush back to the so-called normal. Now, why rush back? Because there's no certainty that rushing back is going to be safe. So why do it? Why should we not maintain that preventative measure for at least, in my view, another 3 months, another quarter? As I say, the precautionary principle in relation to your split team should be, it's better to be safe than sorry.
You only need one person contracting it and your whole team's gone, right? It pretty much knocks everybody out if they're all working together from that contact side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even going to come down to what happens in the future when mass testing becomes available. You're going to have to think through a strategy to do that. Are you going to send your whole team together to be tested? If one person comes back positive, is that going to mean you're going to have to close down your whole business? If you've got split teams, that may be a better way to manage it. Send that team for testing and then your next team. There's all these risk issues, and the scope and the way that mass testing is executed hasn't been properly addressed, and it needs to be in the future.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, even just on the handshake. It's now as we're getting out and about a bit more, and when you do go to those business meetings or catch up with your friends, you're not sure what to do. Is it the virtual hug or the elbows or the foot tap or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
Right. I was on the golf course yesterday, guys, and me and a friend in our 30s played with two older gentlemen, and they were both ready to shake hands at the start of play. And my friend and I were the ones that thought, well, maybe we'll just do the elbow shake today. Like I don't know whether we talk about better safe than sorry, Terry. It needs to flow right through to the member, to the golfers at golf facilities for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see how general managers manage that. Whether there is very strict disciplinary action taken for this sort of interaction, but time will tell.
I agree, Daniel. It's a great opportunity for golfers. They're not the problem, they're actually the solution. And if they can embrace all of this risk approach and this behavioural approach, we can truly communicate out there that it is a safe haven, it's a safe sport, come play, let us stay open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, these are some of the things I'm seeing that I wanted to share with you, just as takeaway points, so you could maybe put your mind to, wow, is this happening in my workplace? And the number one thing is, based on the 19 risk controls that we identified for people bringing COVID into your workplace, what are you doing about your contractors? Are you asking them to provide you with their COVID safety plan, their hygiene plans? If in the future, let's say there is a vaccine, are you going to introduce a no jab, no come to my site policy? These are all things that you've got to think through. But now we should be asking our contractors, if you're going to come on site and you are going to touch things, I need to have some surety that you're going to play the game. And just to give you an idea, I was at a golf facility this week. A contractor arrived. He walked into the facility. He touched the doors. He opened the doors. He went to the bathroom. He sat down. He left. I asked, is there any hygiene protocol? He didn't wash his hands. He didn't use the sanitising agent at the front door. And it was allowed. So we've had a breach. We've had a potential contamination. And these are things that we need to really put our mind to, in particular the sanitiser stations, not just having them, but making sure that people use them and that they're monitored to make sure that they're full. The other thing too, buffer times. Split shifts are a great thing, but is there a buffer time between split shifts that allow cleaning? And if there is cleaning, is there evidence of cleaning? Is there a register that shows you that, the cleaning has been undertaken? We're thinking of providing our customers with some stickers, which they can stick on a work area that's been cleaned, and they can write a date that it was actually cleaned. We're not finding particularly robust evidence that staff are receiving COVID training, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the next couple of slides. I've already mentioned risk registers. I've seen some really good ones, and I've seen some that are too light on. I know the government have got some risk registers on their website. They're a good start, but I think you need to do a lot more than what's being provided out there on government websites. I see there is a lot of education material displayed, but not enough. You'll see behind me, as I said, our coronavirus resource corner. You may want to think about putting a notice board up too, where you've got a central point, but you really need to have arrival posters, sanitizer posters, hand hygiene posters everywhere within the building. You need to have SDSs for hand sanitizer. It contains alcohol, so it's a flammable product. Regulators will expect safety data sheets. We did some research just a few weeks back on hand sanitizers. We identified 17 safety data sheets within about 20 minutes. We've put them into our database, and you need to have them available on site. I've already mentioned the rush back to normal. Too many golf clubs are wanting to rush back to normal. We're nowhere near normal yet. I don't think we'll be back at normal for 18 months to 2 years if we ever get back to normal. And I'm also seeing there's a lack of really robust COVID policies. I'd like to see a COVID policy signed by the club general manager and the board sitting in the foyer frame. This is our COVID policy. We have one displayed on the board behind me, and cleaning procedures, procedures about how to screen people, procedures on what to do if somebody is ill at the workplace, or if somebody has gone off for a test, what are we going to do? So there's about a dozen procedures that you really should be having at your workplace.
Terry, with the COVID Safe app from the government, is that something that can be mandated to staff, or is that something that's still going to be each person's sole discretion on wanting to tap onto it or not? It might be a bit of a curly one.
Yeah, look, you really have to consider people's privacy, and everybody's got a different view. My view is that all our staff have downloaded it. They wanted to. It's going to become an internal issue. It may become mandatory in the future from the government, but that's highly unlikely. But my view is, if we truly want to demonstrate that golf is the safest sport and that we're really managing this risk well, what a good look to have all your members having that app.
Yeah, and you have to remember to open it as well, because I've had it and I don't go out much in the last few weeks since I've downloaded it, but then you forget to turn it on. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's sort of defeats the purpose to have it, but I guess that opens up a lot of legal issues on if you can mandate it, and then you can't really go in and check a personal phone. If it's a business phone, I'm sure you can do something. I've got another poll question. I guess Terry, you can let me know what this. A COVID safe marshal. Have you identified and trained your site COVID safe marshal? And is that somebody that you would consider the safety officer, what we're used to having in the current? It's just a change of terminology and a change of criteria that they need to be monitoring?
Yeah, just to give you an overview, Clubs New South Wales, they've put out a circular that every golf club must have what they're calling a COVID safe marshal. They must wear a high-vis vest and be identified as the site COVID safe marshal.
That's me for today. I'm the COVID safe marshal. So
correct. Yeah.
Got my high vis on.
I'm not a fan of the term. I'm not a fan of the term marshal.
Yeah.
Connotations are that it's a policing type role. Is host a better word? Probably not in the coronavirus era. You wouldn't call yourself a COVID safe host, but you might call yourself a COVID safe advisor for the site, where your role is to facilitate the experience of the guest to your place. And that's not going there and saying, oh, you're doing the wrong thing. It's demonstrating what's the right thing, what social distancing is, what hand washing is, and how to wash your hands properly, registering people, counting room numbers. That's the role of this marshal. So yeah, you really need to have the marshal, and I think every staff member should also undertake the training.
Yeah, to be tough. I mean, it is with JobKeeper on at the moment, we'll have that opportunity to have the extra staff around as we slowly open up. But at some point, it's going to be an additional cost. I know we can't look at it solely as a cost factor, but for a lot of small clubs, especially, it may be a difficult one for them to have someone designated the full time. I guess, do you rotate between different people, and you have the vest on? I'm used to that at community sports sometimes, having the parent coordinator to make sure that we don't get unruly. I guess it'd be a similar thing for the around your work space.
Absolutely, Mike, and it also introduces a whole new range of HR issues for that nominated staff member who may feel uncomfortable being a marshal or a safety advisor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, we have a few coming through already. So, there's 4 that said yes, they have one, 5 that no, and then there's a few, 3 or 4 that didn't know they needed one. So hopefully that's something to take away. They can look at to identify someone to take that on.
Yep.
Next slide. Come on. Slow internet. Always love that. I love technology when it doesn't work. Terry, do you remember what the slide is? It'll catch up to us in a second here.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It's
just go ahead.
okay. It'll be the slide. No, it's not that one.
Yep, that's the one that comes after it.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, mate, you were right.
Yep,
Yeah.
all good. Go ahead, it's working now.
Okay, so as we move forward out of lockdown, from stage 1 into stage 2 and into stage 3, your risk assessment won't change. The expectations of everybody and their collective responsibility in your risk registers won't change. And it's not going to change from what you see on the screen. Social distancing is here to stay. So is hand hygiene, respiratory etiquette, making sure people stay home. You would have seen the Codral ad. Can you remember the Codral ad on television? Used to say soldier on. Well, they changed it this year. Yeah, so thank goodness for that. So there's no more soldiering on in the workplace. A collective responsibility could be, do we download this COVID safe app? Do you make it mandatory in your workplace? The screening, the heightened cleaning, it's not going to change throughout stage 1, stage 3, and I think it's going to be with us for a long time.
Is there much talk about a stage 4, or is it pretty much stage 3? I guess stage 4 is with international travel. There might be some ease from a national perspective, but.
Correct. Well, I think in stage 4, they might start talking about, hopefully, vaccinations and, are we going to have no jab, no play policies, no jab, no travel policies? Then our risk assessment strategies will change. But for the foreseeable future, collectively, the risk responsibility is not going to change from what's on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, we're already seeing it nationally with just that whole support from work from home. We've gotten used to it. Why change and try to get reused where you can't get used to going back into an office again? It's a little bit different. You're in hospitality like we are with golf, and a big part of our product and offering is that contact, that social interaction. So not everybody can work from home, but having a better, safer work environment with the shields up, I guess, in the reception and in the pro shops and all that type of stuff that we're normally seeing in grocery stores and petrol stations.
Yeah, but just before you move to the next slide,
Yep.
Mike, that support to work from home is also support about some of the mental health issues and anxiety issues that you will start to experience in your workplace. Some people work well from home, others don't.
Yes, it's a different work environment, being someone that's worked from home for the last 12 years and just working with clients virtually. I like the whole online learning and assessment type of stuff there. That works well. But it is a busy highway. I know it's tough to get on, and there's so many different things happening now in the virtual world. That will probably go back to a little bit normalized once in-person meetings start happening again, and seminars and in group formats, which not too far away. The July-August timeframe will be back up and running in some of our states. Some of them are be there already, such as New South Wales and Adelaide and WA. Same thing.
Terry, do you think there's going to be a COVID safe seal for venues, namely golf facilities? Like, I would think that general managers and golf facilities in general would do themselves a huge favour by having that tick of approval that you've had that passed to attract new and encourage members who might be concerned about the virus to come and play and come and enjoy the facilities at a club. Like, is there going to be a seal of approval that you qualify?
Yeah, look, I have no doubt there are agencies out there considering that sort of thing, about some certification program and protocol that once you achieve that, you get the green tick. I think that's a fair way down the track, but I've got no doubt it's on a lot of people's minds.
And I wonder if the government app plays a big part in that.
Look, in my overall view is that golf should be creating its own certification program for this sort of thing. Not just for this, but they should be certifying their golf clubs as environmental performers, as safety performers, and it should just be a natural extension to include it. This is a COVID safe facility.
Yeah.
A to Z, and they can get a sign off, and they just need to find out what organisation or agency would be happy to sign off on that, but it's doable and it should be done. I think it's a great opportunity, or another opportunity for golf that comes out of COVID-19. And just while we're talking to that too, Daniel, this risk assessment you see on the screen, we developed this risk assessment based on the WHO guidelines for mass gatherings. And it's a great opportunity to get yourself a risk score, which could go towards this certification protocol if it's ever introduced. And it scores on how prepared you are to mitigate COVID impacts in your workplace. This facility that you see on screen scored 96%, and their probability rating was 2, which was low. And we're finding out of the 30 odd facilities that we've done so far, the average score is in the 90s. Now that is such a good look for golf. And who knows about it? Nobody.
Now, Terry, is that the whole venue, or is that just the maintenance side? I know, it's our maintenance crews have been pretty darn good that I see around here, just on their management of things, from legislation to chemicals and environment and the whole deal. But have you seen that strong rating also into the clubhouses and other areas that may not have that same attention that a superintendent gives?
Yeah, look, we developed a protocol, one for course, one for club. So I've got 2 different types of protocols, and we're actually finding that the scores are almost parallel. So what's happening in the clubhouse is trickling down to the course maintenance operations, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
What's happening in the course maintenance operations might be finding themselves being pushed up into the club operations, but overall the golf industry is performing very well. With some of those scores in the 90s is fantastic, and like, it's an extensive risk assessment. It goes through 50 parameters.
Yep.
And to get scores like that, it's a good look. But again, golf's not telling anybody. We should be, as an industry.
Yeah, well, it's even with our maintenance crews, and some of the most unsafe areas would be out there with blades and spinning things that take limbs off, and chemicals and such. The same with the kitchen. I guess those are the 2. We don't necessarily think about unsafe so much in the pro shops and front of house so much. But
Yep. So just to finish with this slide, I'm about to wrap up, Mike. So
yep.
Just top left of screen. Yesterday, I'm now a COVID marshal, which is nice. We sat down with ACM Training, which is a training organisation that used to be the Australian College of Mining, and we developed a golf-specific COVID marshal training course, which is an online course, and it took me 40 minutes to finish it. Should take you about 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm encouraging you to consider doing similar training to your staff. And soon we'll be launching eParV, which you know about, Mike,
Yep.
which will help you automatically register guests when they appear on your golf course, so you don't need a staff member maintaining a register. You'll be able to communicate with them whilst they're on your site and reinforce some of your social distancing measures. It also count the numbers inside your facility and outside your facility from a dashboard. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Excellent.
And just last couple of slides, just to reinforce this social distancing thing and why it's top of the scale on your risk protocol. This is a study out of London. They're starting to come out of lockdown as well. And the experts over there have put out this paper. The orange line is ICU cases weekly. Now what they're doing, they're now coming up with what they're calling a threshold. If the cases exceed 100 a week, they will look at reintroducing the previous stage lockdown measures for a month, and then relaxing them once the numbers drop to maybe 50, and then they'll relax them, and then they'll see how they go. So the problem with that, or actually not the problem with that, is what it clearly identifies is the importance of social distancing. If we can keep the numbers down, we stay open. If we keep doing our risk management protocols and doing all the behavioural things right, we stay open. If we have a breach and a cluster and an increase in numbers, they will start implementing some further lockdown measures. And we don't want that. We can't have that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, wrap up. So it's the Great Reset without a doubt. And if I could highlight that bottom line, in a COVID world, there is absolutely no doubt that safety sells. Greg Patterson said the same thing in his presentation last week. A new output for golf, apart from being one of the greatest recreation sports on the planet, is that it's going to be whole and healthy people and whole and wealthy workplaces. And we can't claim that. We can't demonstrate that, and we certainly can't state that in the absence of robust COVID-related risk management.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Terry.
One more slide, mate, I think.
Yeah, no, I pushed that just to the end when we do our wrap. So
okay.
Just a sec on that one. So over to Daniel. I guess we get your perspective of what's been happening from the insurance side of things. But if you want to just do a quick update, you've been around for a couple of years now in the golf industry. It'd be interesting to get your perspective on what you're seeing from outside the golf industry, as well as what's happening and where we can improve. But over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Terry. That was quite informative, mate. I'm sure a lot of people would have taken a lot from that presentation. The insurance industry, look, it has been a challenging time. COVID has certainly had its... Oh, my screen's gone a bit odd there, Mike. Are you still got me?
Nope, go ahead. Sorry.
COVID has presented its challenges for the insurance industry on a wider scale. The golf industry is where GBA spends its time focusing and providing its insurance solutions too. But the challenges and disruptions are hard to judge and hard to continue to comprehend the risk environment. I guess as an argument, there is argument to suggest that it is a changed risk. It has to be. We've never seen this unprecedented type of event before, and insurance, like I mentioned in my opening, is very reactive. It's reactive to the situations that we experience every day in this country. Particular storm events, climate events are most obvious at your golf facilities. But this is new to us as insurance professionals and an industry responding to the needs and inquiries from our customers to say, well, what cover, if any, is available following this event. So it's a tricky situation. Insurance, a lot of the time, is expected to bail out society. With we look at the bushfires of recent times and the impact that's had on the nation, and then what is expected of insurance companies to a degree that people without insurance expect to be compensated for their loss by the government, whereas people with insurance are obviously done the right thing in the beginning to take out that cover. So there is always a bit of bad publicity for the insurance industry. We try our best to, and I say it as a small part of the insurance industry, but we do our best to educate our clients in the ways of insurance and just be transparent and honest with what insurance is there to do. Unfortunately, with COVID being labelled a quarantinable pandemic, there was a plethora of exclusions that existed on a number of policies that, travel insurance policies, business interruption insurance policies, which meant that the effects of COVID and the impact of COVID weren't the financial impact was not necessarily covered. So I guess with that in mind, we'll flick on to my first slide, Mike.
Yep. You want that one or the summary overview?
Mate, I'm looking for the detail.
Yeah,
that's the one.
That's one. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. So like I said, it's a challenging. It's been challenging for insurers to judge a continued risk exposure and comprehend the environment that we're now in following COVID-19. I've just listed a few insurances that are most commonly questioned and how that cover now looks following COVID. So with respect to general liability, public liability, more commonly referred to, we're seeing that whilst there is a exposure that continues, the obvious conclusion with clubhouses fully or partially closed is that general liability, or the view is that general liability is decreased. But in actual fact, the majority of claims that we see are out on the golf course. So with venues closed, with typical operations no longer continuing, we have still been fortunate enough to be able to play golf, which means there are still claims happening on the golf course in that high percentage of errant ball claims, trip and fall claims on the course. So I guess it's to be mindful of the fact that, if you are a facility that's had to close or remains closed or partially closed, there would definitely, the advice from an insurance broker would be that doesn't render public liability obsolete. There is still risk out there, and it's still, a premium still needs to apply for that risk to continue to be covered. Management liability, look, just touching on what Terry had to say earlier, there is so many decisions that need to be made by management and boards at clubs, so many protocols to implement following COVID-19, none more so than providing a safe environment for members and employees. Management has an obligation to make sure that those environments are safe. And if we're not able to do that, then there could very well be a breach of a director and officer negligence. And as a result, employment practices claims could be made against those clubs, against those directors at a managerial level. There'll obviously be some financial impact from COVID-19. This may lead to people being laid off. Again, unfair dismissal cases could be on the rise. We expect them to be on the rise as a result of COVID. So it's definitely an area of insurance that you need to focus on. Management liability, check with your insurance provider, your insurance broker, that is a robust cover. It covers the areas that I just mentioned. Membership matters. We don't know. Look, my own club, we've just received our subs renewal, and there's increases to our fees. Now, there might be increases at clubs that aren't welcomed by members. This could create waves and or action brought against the board and the management of the club. So to protect yourselves as decision makers and in charge of the governance of your golf facility, please do yourself a huge favour and double check your management liability cover and what in fact it does protect against. Your ISR, or your industrial special risks, otherwise referred to as property insurance. So we're looking at fire, theft, storm damage, the most common types of property losses. I guess there's argument to say that there's no real decrease in exposure. Buildings have been vacant or semi-vacant for some time. Without the watchful eye of employees or people present at the venue, we could very well see, we may have seen an increase in malicious damage, vandalism and burglary claims. Easy targets, people doing it tough at the moment, that turn to crime and the quiet club in your town or city that isn't otherwise occupied. So there is that argument from insurers that risk is still present. It's not an increased risk, but it certainly is a risk nonetheless. So with respect to storms, we've got water ingress that may not be picked up straight away, which could lead to larger claims, more damage, and of course, the general maintenance of a club, which is overlooked. We might consider leaf litter in gutters and so on that could be flammable and result in a total loss of the club. So there is certainly some areas of your business to consider whether or not there are risks during COVID interruptions. Hopefully now people returning to work or have returned to work in some capacity. So it is being monitored. The club is being monitored more regularly. But yeah, we certainly were made aware of the changing risk of unoccupied or semi-occupied venues during COVID interruptions. Voluntary workers, of course, every club has a few members that are willing to lend a helping hand. I guess it's prudent to recognise that there is a risk there that if you're inviting members to assist with maintenance or upgrades at the club, I know we've seen some painting done by members at our club. It's great that they're prepared to do this, but in the event that they are injured on your site, it's certainly worthwhile to note that your facility, your entity should have a voluntary workers insurance policy and make sure that it is current and that it would respond in an outcome where someone may be injured that isn't employed by the club per se. So yeah, that's and whilst it is acknowledged that golf clubhouses are operating on a limited basis, premiums and the cost of insurance still needs to reflect the risk. We have had success with, I guess, in COVID times to roll over, or what we call rollover premiums. We've also been assisted by Terry and his team to reduce premiums at certain clubs. So there are measures that you can take now to present your club in a better light to insurers. And I think if you're failing to do that or not doing that, then you should be, because just like making your workplace a safe environment with respect to the contraction of COVID and getting that seal of approval, it's worthwhile to improve your risk profile as well with respect to general liability losses. So yeah, do yourself a favour and speak to your broker, speak about ways of being a more attractive risk to insurers, and you might find that there are premium benefits as a result of that.
But Daniel, there's been a few providers offering some extended payments too, isn't there? There've been the 90-day ones. I'm not sure if that's in clubhouses or if it was more around pro shops.
Yeah, I should probably help the insurance industry out a little bit here and say that there have been insurers that are offering extended credit terms to clubs. There are credit terms that are customer facing and behind the scenes, and it might not do away with the pressures of insurance premium payments, but it certainly assists at times where income isn't continuous. So we are seeing that insurers are prepared to provide cover without payment for extended periods. So it is, again, you should at least ask the question if you're not already being told by your insurance provider that you have more flexible credit terms, and it does not mean that if you don't pay your insurance that you don't have cover. It's obviously an insurance claim may be subject to the payment of a premium, but it is available to those that have gone through difficult times following COVID. But we hope that most are on the road to recovery, but it certainly does exist.
Sorry, I just need to get a bit of an issue with this. Not wanting to slide, so my apologies. Give me 1 second. There we go. Sorry, just the last couple slides. Sorry about that, Daniel.
Yeah, you're right, mate. No worries. So insurance is the reaction, but it doesn't need to be reactive. Like I said before, measures taken now will improve your facility's risk profile and ensure the sustainability of affordable insurance into the future. We've got to be mindful that there are limited market options for golf club insurance. I'm sure many of you have experienced it, but we need, we've gone through some turbulent times, fires, storms, and that's not limited to the past few years, floods. It really is, it's one of the necessary evils in business, having to pay insurance. But without insurance, I guess we don't open our doors. It makes life very tricky to not be insured. So we've got to have insurance options. So with COVID-19 and recent events, we'll continue to, there will be concessions provided with the rollover of premiums and the extension of credit terms, but eventually we will see increases to premiums. And it's just how you manage that as a facility with your insurance provider, what you can do to reduce those increased premiums. But I think I've just detailed a few ways that you may be able to do that. There's no guarantees, of course, because insurers are, that the premium pool assists with the claim payments, and if claim payments exceed premium pool and reinsurers funds, then we're in a position where we have to increase it. Well, insurers are in a position where they have to increase premiums and or excesses. So I guess point number one, look to update and improve your security measures at these times. If things are quiet or even if they're not, have a look at your security. Is it sufficient? Could it be better? To take back to your insurer to say, well, we've included back to base alarm or CCTV or security patrols. Definitely something we can start looking at, particularly with our venues either fully closed or partially closed during COVID. But definitely look at the security measures at your club, particularly if you're a venue that holds a lot of cash. New South Wales and Queensland, I think with the gaming, they tend to hold a lot more cash, although a lot of them are going contactless these days. Worthwhile to make sure your security measures are up to date and looking to improve them. A fire safety audit, again, a management decision, and I believe there would have to be some sort of regular audit done of your fire safety. However, what a better time to do it than now, while you've got the opportunity. There may be staff that could assist with this that are otherwise not being engaged to do their usual business operation. Just have them have a fire safety audit completed. Provide your insurance broker with those audit findings. If it paints your club in a better light, then there's no reason that can't be taken to insurers to see whether or not a combination of these initiatives can assist reduce your premiums or create a better risk profile for your golf facility. Operational procedures, we spoke about cleaning. Obviously that's very important now with COVID-19. We need to make sure we've got that safe environment for our guests, our members and employees, because whatever's around the corner, you want to be sure that you've done the right things beforehand and prevented that incident, so to defend yourself in the event of a claim occurring. So same with signage, that could be in the clubhouse or even out on the course. We spoke about errant ball claims earlier, a big issue for the golf industry. We might look to install or think of ways to curb the errant ball claims at our clubs through signage. A great use. People do read signs, believe it or not, still, and they have been found to be useful at clubs. So again, that could assist with reducing your liability risk and your liability premiums. General maintenance course equipment and general maintenance kitchen equipment. If we're doing, I believe, kitchen equipment, there's certain requirements to have flues and ducted cleaning with some insurers. Have that done. Reduce that risk of fire and a total loss, because as we've seen in Australia in recent times, the risk of fire, not just bushfire, but other ways in which fires have started, often in the kitchen. We can certainly improve our risk profile and reduce risk by doing some general maintenance on kitchen equipment and club equipment. So, which would obviously assist with your ISR, your property insurance. Adopt a risk management program. Yep. So, engage a risk consultant. We've got one with us today. Speak to a risk consultant about how we can reduce our risk, create a safer and less likelihood of having to make a claim through risk management. And of course, assess and update your insurance program. Again, if times are, I'm sure you're not quiet, but it may be that time of year where your insurance requires a review, it requires an update. But even if it's not, take the time to have a good look at it, send it to your insurance professional and just ask them if there's anything that you can do right now to create a better look at your club, a safer, that it is a safer, low risk club compared to others. Unfortunately, we're all grouped in this together. It is an industry. Insurers operate per industry as much as they look at in particular or individual risk. They will look at the losses from an industry. However, don't be afraid to have a look at your insurance program now and ask the questions. Thanks, Mike. Next slide.
Yeah, thank you.
So
last couple ones, yep.
Yeah, we'll end on a bit of a rough note, but I think what I've learned through answering the inquiries of coverage amid COVID-19, the best method was just to be transparent and honest with our clients, our customers. Sadly that there is no business interruption insurance cover for COVID-19, ruled a quarantinable pandemic by the Quarantines Act of 1908. This has been argued by a few industries. The golf industry, we haven't seen too much pushback from, but it has been challenged. But at the end of the day, if business interruption losses were covered as a result of COVID or similar viruses, we'd empty the coffers of all insurers, and I don't think there'd be any insurance options remaining out there in the world. So sadly, yes, COVID has impacted everyone, every and all industries, but with respect to the interruption to that business, following SARS in 2013, there was action taken by insurers and reinsurers to introduce exclusions that regrettably meant there would be no insurance protection for disruptions to business from COVID-19. So that's the general response. There is exceptions to that, but I haven't seen any yet in the golf industry. Again, general liability or public liability. There may be numerous ways that claimants may try to make claims related to COVID-19. We haven't seen these yet. People that start to return to courses or golf facilities may contract the virus. We've heard of the second wave, and we hope that golf fares well when we do all return to normal, whatever normal is. But if there is someone that contracts COVID-19, if it does happen and they believe that it's happened at a golf facility, there may be an attempt or attempts to make claims against the golf club for negligence. But it remains the fact it's going to be a difficult thing to prove negligence on behalf of the golf club, where coronavirus, COVID-19, could have been contracted anywhere that person had been: restaurants, cafes, at home, public places. So it is, in the opinion of the insurance industry, it is going to be a difficult claim to accept. But we are seeing that exclusions are becoming more common in insurance policies. So keep an eye out for COVID-19 specific exclusions. But if they don't exist, they may they may come up under something else, such as a communicable disease, and you may find it in there. But ask your insurance professional. They can easily get the answer, and but I just wouldn't be expecting for it to be an affirmative. You are covered for public liability losses associated with COVID-19. I think you'll find that in 99% of cases, it's not going to be the case. So, thank you.
Good point. I think it will be tested over time. I think as people will, as long as we're following the right protocols and we have all the checklists in place and our marshal and all that type of stuff, at least we're doing the right thing. I think that negligent would come in as we're not doing anything and we're dismissing that. I'll finish up with Terry, and then we'll open it up if there is any question and answers. I know we're running over just a few minutes over time. For the ones that want to stay on, we can open the audio lines, and we can just do some general chats if you like. But Terry, over to you to close it on out. I think Daniel's covered quite a few things that we can take away and focus on from our own perspective and from yours. What would your final comments be?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Daniel. Great stuff, mate. Just a final comment, just to round off what I'm calling golf's great reset. I've got some notes here that I'll refer to make sure I get the message as detailed as I possibly can in such a short time. But there's no doubt golf was forced to a space that it wasn't ready to go to, but now we're there. Let's take advantage of it. And I talk about this thing, let's hold where we're at. Now, I know all of you out there in golf club management world, the first thing you want to hold on to is to hold on financially. And it would be a remiss of me not to mention that. So that's a priority for everybody. But I think we should also really work hard at what I call holding this new space. Now, golf has been rediscovered. It's unprecedented. And I think it was Jeff earlier on before we started was talking about rounds of golf are up. I saw one golf club have 900 and 950 rounds of golf booked in for a week. I've just some more of these notes here. We need to hold this new space. As I said, it's been rediscovered. Rounds are up. It's a sport made for social distancing. Importantly, people are appreciating the outdoors. They're appreciating the mateship. And this space that we're in now, it's a safe haven for vulnerable communities. And it's something that we've got to hold on to and start communicating when we start holding the conversation. So let's have this conversation with staff, with our members, with the community about what golf is in this new space. What are our new behavioural changes that we're introducing? And where is golf going to be now? Where is it going to be in 6 months? Where is it going to be in 12 months? Are we going to go down the road of this certification pathway? And we need to really hold on to some of these new ideas. And I keep saying that the major idea that's come to the fore is that it's safe. Now, the message that we should be telling everybody is, and we need to stop being a humble sport. Now, you come play our sport, we've got your back. It's that simple in the COVID world. And how have we got your back? Well, we got the best darn risk assessment protocol in place that you could ever hope for. And we're ready made to let you come and play at our place, enjoy our company and go home safe. And that's what I talk about, golf's great reset. Thanks, Mike.
Excellent. No, thanks, Terry. That's some great, messaging. I think that's, as an industry, I guess, how do we move forward to get that collective message out there? And I guess, Daniel, you mentioned different industries have their different industry pools. Is the golf industry seen as one industry, or are we seen as 3 or 4 separate ones at the moment? Because we've got different elements of it that might fall under a different pattern. I mean, that doesn't make sense for us to look at how does the industry become a golf industry, and we get certified and we follow all the protocols and things that we've been discussing.
Yeah, I think insurers look at the occupation of, like, when I say golf industry, I really mean the golf facilities, insuring golf facilities. So look, there's a lot of businesses that service our great game, and we're one of them. the three of our businesses. But yeah, I think as far as the facilities are concerned, insurers will look at golf facilities as a group for the most part, and then yeah, once they've reached their baseline on golf clubs, then they'll start to look at clubs on individual basis, which are those that are experiencing high levels of claims, which are those that have rarely claimed, and then that's where you start to piece together your risk profile and try to improve. If you're a club that is fortunate enough not to have to make a claim or high frequency or high value claims, then you're in a good position. You're in a good position to negotiate your premium, your renewal terms, your insurance terms. If you're a club that has unfortunately suffered a bushfire loss and impacted the, I guess, profitability of an insurance company, then you're going to find it a little tougher. But I guess we've got to take the good with the bad. If you've experienced that, you've got to accept that you do have a risk, and if you can't improve on that, then yeah, you've just got to manage it as best you can with the position you're in, the finances that your club has available. But yeah, there's ways to certainly improve that risk, improve your risk profile. Clubs got to start, facilities have to start doing it, like Terry has said.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks everyone for attending today. Thanks, Terry, for your time. In the recordings, there'll be slides, and I'll load that up onto Golf Industry Central later today, so you can share it with anybody that you want. Daniel, thanks for your time as well. Appreciate it, and all your support of the golf industry. I'll stop the official proceedings right now. For the ones that you want to stay on, just to have a quick chat with Terry or Daniel, I'll leave this open for 10 or 15 minutes if you guys want to have just some general discussion. It won't be recorded, so you can ask all the curly questions if you like. But thanks again. Appreciate your support for episode number 3, and look forward to seeing everybody in person with the either the elbow or the foot tap when we do see each other over a couple of cold Corona beers, I'm guessing. But hopefully we'll be back to normal sooner than later. But take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.